Okay, the question is, why do a lot of men during their parole hearing or even anything to do with their case, like they're trying to take it back to court or anything like that, why do they tend to not only distance themselves from their wife, but like some bickering and things start happening during that time frame?
So, one thing that I, want to make clear that, uh, I don't speak for everybody that's incarcerated. I speak in behalf of myself and you, you
Mhm.
know, first and foremost, my experiences, you know, uh, because that's where that's how I learned because of what I've gone through, what we've gone through, the experiences.
Right.
So recollecting back to, when I first, met you, when we first started writing back and forth, I've explained to you that, pretty soon I'll be going to board and, there's a chance of me going home and chance that I might get denied. Well, in that process, you're in your head, there's a lot going on, you know, of you having to prepare yourself. You want to prepare something that's like, you want to prepare where it's like, this is your life you're dealing with. This is something that there's nothing more like pleading for your life. And these people, you're going and you're going to a board that, they don't see the good in you. They don't see the human in you. All is what CEOs or, counselors write on paper. And they go back to your whole history, you know.
Right.
That's what they based on their decision making. And our history, of course, is not going to look good. That's why we're in prison. That's why we came into prison, So, of course, you're want to base everything on what happened back then. It's like, look at what I've been succeeding. Look at the steps that I'm taking. And at the end of the day, when you were a lawyer or when you became a CEO or when you became a sergeant or a lieutenant or a psychiatrist, what happened? You had to take through the steps of that and to understand. You could read textbooks and all that, but when you're not putting your studies into proper work, all you're going to know again is the studies what the textbook is telling you. Now when you're able to work with clients, with people, now you're able to understand their patterns, you're able to understand them freely, you're getting into your subject hands on.
Right.
So again, um, it's a process that we all have to take in life and here. So that's stressful. And then you don't have, you know, uh, the main thing, what is really stressful is not having the resources that we need, you know. And when we ask our family for resources, they don't tend to really understand where we want or what we need. And
Mhm.
that's kind of hard too because it's limited. Like, now we have our tablets that it makes it a little bit easier. But what about if you don't have those resources? What about if you don't have those families? So it comes a lot. It's a lot that we go through in here of, and then if you have a significant other, you're dealing with their emotions and their stress and all that too. And it's like, what about if she leaves? What about if she just gets tired and just like, man, I'm like, I can't deal with this no more. Like, it's too much. Like, that's what we tell in our mind. That's what we go through in our head too. So now you have a bunch of stuff in your head. Like, you're not, like, you feel like you do all this. There's nobody in here that tells us, hey, you're doing a good job. Hey, I'm proud of you. The only person that's going to probably tell you that is your significant other, the people that are seeing what you're doing. And then sometimes they lack that. They
Right.
don't know how to tell their significant other, hey, you're doing a very good job. That's amazing, you know? So we don't get those fruits. Ain't nobody sitting here and telling us, hey, bro, like, man, you're doing a very good job. Like, that's what's up, man. Like, keep doing that. It's rare.
Right.
So now we're going to board and, or whatever it might be, court, and they shut you down. It's like, damn, dude, like, I did all this and I continue to change and woo de woo woo, and it's like it's not good enough, so then you start doubting yourself, you know uh you start doubting yourself, you start questioning yourself. So it's a lot. It truly is. And I've told you why I've pushed you away when I have those moments, because we don't know how it is to somebody to hold us, to have that comfort. We don't know how that feels. We don't know how it feels to have a person be there for you. We don't know. So all we do is go into like a cocoon and just like, man, just leave me alone. Like I'll deal with this. I'll deal with this by myself. At the end of the day, because we're so used to people just leaving, and it's just like we look at it. It's just like how you girls look at it too. Like, oh, you're just another guy that's gonna gonna cheat on me. You already have that in your mind. So
Right.
once you take that out of your mind or just heal from it, you're not gonna look at every man like that. You're gonna give that man that chance. You're gonna give
Right.
that man to, prove you otherwise. But it's a lot of stress, man, especially when you're in the box. That's all you're going to think. So if I start thinking right now that you're cheating on me, that's going to take a very long time to stop thinking that. That's just hypothetically saying, like, it's just because all we live in a box. We don't
Right.
have no distractions. Like, y'all could just get up and go to the restroom, which is like, y'all could go to get in the car, drive, whatever, to distract
Anything you
yourself
want.
for
Yep.
whatever. So we in here is like we don't have that. We don't have that luxury. All we can do is probably work out and shower and
Right.
maybe try to look at the TV. And the TV is like, dude, there's nothing there. Or your tablet now. Now with your tablet, you're able to just get your mind off of this a little bit more.
Yeah.
That's why it's that's why it's so good. Like again, everything boils down to once you have God and you just give that up to Him, you give Him your stress, your anxiety, like that's your line of communication. That's your life. That's your line of breath. You know.
Yeah, and like you were saying earlier, like, you live in a world where it doesn't matter. You could do 500 good things and then you do one wrong, and no one cares about the
Yeah.
500 good things. Nobody. They're like, oh, well, he got a write up. Like, you're constantly looked at
Yeah.
for any mistake and any situation that you find yourself in that comes with being incarcerated. Like, it's the environment, and you can go so long without getting in a fight or getting in trouble, but then that situation arises and there it is and there you are, and
So how? Right.
huh? No, go ahead.
So how would you prove like let's say because I've seen it too. What about there's dirty officers that will write you up for anything, and then when you go to board, like if you try to fight it and be like, man, I honestly that did not happen. Like I was written up for something I didn't do. You
Yeah.
know, they'll still take that and run with it and be like, well, the officer said you did it,
Well,
so
yeah,
they found you guilty.
you have no you guys have no
Defense.
protection, no advocacy except for the families that maybe call up to the prison and like, fight with you, but as a whole, you live in a world where, like, yeah, an officer can say, "Oh, he threatened me," and that's it. They don't
Yeah,
care. You
yeah,
could have not even been
yeah,
near that officer. They don't care. And they know how that paperwork works. They know that if you're
yeah.
trying to go
They know.
home and they put that in,
Yeah.
that that's going to mess it up. And they know they've messed with your life and they go on just fine. And then that's another thing I try to express to like wives too, is how when your husband gets in trouble, dude, you cannot get on his back about that because, again, a human person can only take so much, and especially when there is no outlet. There is literally no outlet for you, like you said, but work out and take a shower. And,
While you're
they'll
in
be
the
like,
cell, yeah.
so they're like, "Oh, well, just, you gotta let it go and you gotta this." And it's like, yeah, that sounds real easy when you're free. Because out here we got a problem with someone, dude. It's usually like I'm just blocking them or they're not on my social media. I'm not going around them. You're in a confined space with people. that have issues, or have an issue with you, or you have an issue with them, it's like, oh, walk away. But again, the luxuries we have out here, you guys are not afforded in there, and so it's really having that understanding as well, like you said, is, the officers, you have everything kind of pit against you. And if you really don't have God, you're going to lose it. You're going to lose it. And even with God, we lose it at times. Even with
Yeah.
God, we lose it at times because we are human, but you guys are in a situation that is so not normal. No human was designed to be incarcerated, not mentally, physically, any of those things, like, and you guys do go through so much. And I think sometimes that's easy for us on the outside to forget what you have to deal with on a daily basis,
And it, and
how
it's
hard.
rare too to find.
Hmm?
It's rare to find a good woman like that. A great woman, like it's truly, it's a blessing from the sky, and a man could, with that understanding of, like, the question that you had asked, how would a woman know if their man truly loves him? Like, I mean, there's so many ways of love languages, but one of them is seeing that he loves himself. And the way that he loves himself is not putting himself through any harms, him first, because with that, it creates that ripple effect. If it's like, at first I used to think like, I'm the one in prison. How are you being affected with this? Like, I'm the one that got the 115. How are you getting affected? And
Right.
they are getting affected. It's a ripple effect. Anything that we do as leaders, or, especially if you're the man of of your family, of the home, anything that you do is
Yeah.
gonna, your family's gonna affect it. Even in the Bible it tells us that, by you being faithful, by you surrendering, by you doing God's deeds, his works, not only are your kids gonna be blessed, but your kids are gonna continue to be blessed.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's just, again, it's understanding each other, and I mean, I've told you that so many times before. Like, yeah, I go through things out here, but I know that it's nothing compared to what you go through in there. You know what I mean? Like, it's really not. There's just, and not saying that we don't have stress out here. Of course we do. I know it. I live it. Like, it's not about that or minimizing the women that work hard, and we do sacrifices for our husbands. We
Oh, most
pour our
surely.
all into it, and our husbands, for
Most
most of
certainly.
us, our husbands come first
Yeah.
before ourselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'll buy a package before I buy myself something. I'll put money on them books before I buy myself something. I will be
Yeah.
like, I can't go to anything with it. I have to. I'm going to see my husband.
Yeah.
And that's my choice. That I'm not downing anyone who does anything different. We're speaking from us, but I do know a lot of women who are the same, and so we do go through things, but it's like, it's still, when you look at it, none of us would want to trade places. We want you out of there, but don't nobody want to have to live in the things that you guys live with and deal with every day. And I think it's important for wives to know how hard their husbands have to control themselves and make a conscious choice every single day to not get into a fight, to not get into trouble, to do what's right, because there's nothing hopeful around you as an environment. The only hope is God, and then God blessing you with a family, like, other than that, like, I made a video on that. Like, there's no good day in prison. A good day in prison is like, oh, my cellie gave me some soups because I didn't have anything.
Yeah.
A good day in prison is like the
A
toilet isn't
package
backed up. Like,
store.
our good days
Mm-hmm.
out here are amazing. Like, we have a good day here. It's like, oh, you got that job promotion, or oh, I got to go here. Like, our good days are just like, they're so huge, and we take for granted simply going to the bathroom by ourselves. Getting able to just walk in the kitchen and go get food, being able to step out in the backyard, being able to go to this, you know what I mean? The little things that we just don't even think twice about. You guys go days without even seeing the sun or feeling the air. Sometimes
or
weeks,
eating.
sometimes months, or eating. Exactly. And so
Or if
it's
we run out of like toothbrush or toothpaste and stuff like that, like we would
yeah,
have to wait until we go to store until they decide to, uh, run packages and stuff like that. But going back to the question, like, the key word of that, when a person is going through that, you know, um, you've expressed it to me, which made me feel loved, secure. And the more that we've gone through that, like the first time was very hard, letting you know, like, hey, babe, like they said, I'm not going to go to board, you know, because I was scared, like, man, that you would leave, a good thing, some, just imagine just even a breakup or just somebody leaving while you're in prison. Like, that's the worst thing ever feeling, you know.
yeah,
So those memories come back to you of those people that left,
yeah,
so my suggestion like would be just no matter the outcome, that those should always be you know words of encouragement, like no matter the outcome, like I'm proud of you and I'm not going nowhere. That's something that you've always expressed,
right,
like no matter what, like I love you, I'm not going nowhere, even if they deny you 20, 30 years, you know. And it I was able to receive that and truly believe you in that when you would tell me like I'm not going nowhere. That for years I still doubt it, but through the years as well, like that right there, like man, my girl. But even that, I don't take that for granted. Like, oh, she's not going anywhere, so I could just run around and you know go butt wild. But uh, you've always been a very good woman to me, and I've always appreciative from the beginning of our, you know, uh, letters and visits and all that good stuff. And that's why I don't, I know the struggle. I know what you go through. I've been knowing that. I know what it is to be a prison wife. I've never been a prison wife, but I know what you guys go through. Like,
right,
once like, like it takes a very strong, dedicated woman to do these things and to really understand, you know, us. And you know, you understood me when I wasn't open to my conversations like this. You know,
right.
uh, yeah. So
Yeah, and I think I mean, I remember in the beginning before we got together, like I asking myself, when you were like, is this really what you want? And to make sure of that. And I had to tell myself, like, not asking if you were going to get out, would it be okay to be with you as long as you get out? No, I asked myself if he caught another case in there, say he was never getting out, would you want to be with him? And I think that's something every wife should ask herself. It's because, of course, we have the hope of when you guys are going to come home and all of that. And we should never let that go. We should always have that hope and do everything we can. But, you have to decide like this is the long haul. It's going to be difficult. You're going to go through so many different emotions as a couple and situations and obstacles and hardships. And, you know, I've always known that you were worth it. And you've also always shown me appreciation for everything I do and always acknowledged the sacrifices that I've made, like, and I think that's something that I hope that the men do for their wives, because that does, just you acknowledging me, like, thank you so much, like anything, dude, I could be $20 and you are like, thank you so much, babe, like there is such a gratefulness for everything and always appreciating me, and without me having to be like, I do this, I do that, which I don't do, but I'm saying, like, you will be like, I know that you're going, you coming to here to see me every weekend, and I appreciate, like, you always have just done that for me, have just seen me and acknowledged it. And I've never had to be like, do you even see what I do for you? Because I know there's women that have to ask that. I've never had to ask that,
Yeah.
because you've always told me, on the best days, on the worst days, we could be in an argument. And if the store came through that day, even if we were in an argument, you would make sure to let me know, thank you. Like, you've always just been so appreciative of me in that,
Yeah,
and
because I
even
know that you
trusting.
did that.
Yeah. And you always acknowledge that, even if you're mad, and even if that's all you said for the day. I will never forget that, because that has happened a few times. You were always like, "Babe, I got it," because I'm always like, "Did you get it?" I'm worried you get, stressing, and you're like, "Babe, I got it, and thank you so much, baby. I appreciate it." Like, so that is something you've always given me, and when people always say that, like, "What can a man give you in there?" And I'm like, "You guys have no idea. There's relationships out here where that man or that woman don't appreciate a single thing that somebody does for them, ever." you know and or don't even encourage them or see them, but you've always done that for me. And I know how hard it was in the beginning, because we've been almost, what, a year before you'd even let me get you anything. And even then, I remember the first few months of that, like, you felt so uncomfortable. You remember when you were reading off the numbers to me, and you're like, I don't like this. Like, I don't like this right now. And I'm
Yeah,
cracking up, because
I
the
didn't.
the way you read your number sequence is the worst, by the way. There's no rhythm to it. So it would take us so
That goes
long.
to show you,
It would take
because
us
I've
so
never done
long.
that. I've
I
never
know.
really done that.
I know.
Even asking my mom, I don't
I know. And
I
you've
don't
always
like asking
taken
my
care of
mom.
yourself. And you told me that from the beginning. Like, I don't need nothing from you like that, and neither one of us did. And we were like, all right, but I wanted to. That was my heart. And you were like, I really
Yeah,
appreciate that. And you did. You were like, I really
that was
appreciate
wrong.
that, but I'm good. Like, I'm good. And it took a lot, to convince you to do that. But I just remember how awkward, if so far I didn't feel awkward, but I know for you, you did, and I was happy to do that. And I'm always
I still
happy to
do.
do that. I know. And we have the same heart in it. I'm always happy to do it, and you always feel some type of way. And but that's what you do when you love someone, because I know you would do anything for us. I know that. And I know you will when you come home. And I
And I
know,
have,
yeah, like, and you have,
even
you
in
have.
prison.
Yeah, because of you, we get our family visits. Because of you, I've never had to do a visit behind glass. I've never had to deal with the whole, and I know you had to work and have to work very hard on that. And again, those are the actions when
And
people are like,
financially too.
yeah,
I
when
mean,
they're like,
every time I sell, paintings or drawings and stuff like that, I've always given that to you,
yeah,
you know,
you have.
in return of love, not because of, of anything, but that it feels good to give to you know, to your wife that's been, there for you and even your children. Like,
Mhm.
man, I love giving my children, you know, those little small, tokens of love. And that's just who I am in general as a man. I've always been like that.
Yeah, you have. And you have, and even for the girls, you know what I mean? And it's stuff that you could easily just be like, get me this or get me that. And
Keep
you're
to
like, no,
myself.
go
Right?
go get me this for her birthday, or, hey, send some to Jay. And but again, it's the actions, um but I think, in closing with this, it's just basically letting women know that the distance that may be happening when that happens is just the fear of, if this doesn't go right, she's gonna walk. And so they're right.
Yeah,
Like if this doesn't go the way it's supposed to, I could lose
yeah,
all of this
yeah. A
behind
great
it.
thing. And then
Hmm.
it's like, okay, uh, even if she doesn't leave and she wants to be there, like you'll still push her away because you feel that you did not, you're not good enough. You know, just like women, sometimes they feel like they're not good enough. That's how
Right.
men feel too. Like I'm not good enough for her. I rather why we always do that, and I've always like I've learned with you, like uh, you know, not to let go because we always like you deserve better, and no, you deserve better. You know, there's no better. I am your better. Like, but that's what we do. Like, oh, I got all these years. You should just go on with your life. And no, like it's not like that. Like we deserve that too,
Yeah.
as you know.
And we do. And it's just sticking it out, and again, it's how serious you take your marriage vows too. We say these things, rich or poor, sickness, health, better or worse. And it's like, you really got to understand the depth of your vows, dude. Like, there's a reason those are said in vows. Because if marriage was just nothing but perfect, it would just be like, yep, I'm here for the better, the health, the wealth, right? There's a reason that the complete opposite is said in those vows. They're on the polar opposite ends, because you are saying to that person, no matter what we go through, no matter what life brings, no matter what it is, I'm with you. Until God calls me home, I'm with you, you know? And it's taking that serious, which I do. Like, I take my vows serious. You know, I take you serious. I take the marriage serious. And, you can't just leave because of a disagreement. And you may go through seasons of it. Sometimes can go through it where it can last longer, and where you're just like, what the heck is going on? But, anytime we've gone through it, like you've always said, like, we got to get back to basics. Something's going on here, you know, but there's always a way to get through it. It's not impossible. It's really not. And with God, man, it's limitless what God can do in your life and in your marriage.
Amen.
So in closing, what would your advice then be? I guess you said it already, is just letting them know,
I did.
wives letting the husbands know, or their partner, like, I'm
No
proud of
matter
you
what,
and I'm here.
good, yeah. No matter what, whatever the outcome might be, and that's what you've done. That's what got me in that safe comfort. Like no matter what happens in that court, what happens, they can't define, you know, my love for you. They can't tell me any. Well, you know your man. You know your man more than anybody. And how great would it be to have, that partner in there and speaking up for you? Like
Yeah.
they should be allowed. Your lawyer don't know you like that. Your lawyer is just going through what he thinks how he's gonna fight. But
Yeah, and that would be great. They should let the wives and the kids or the moms come in, because
speak,
again, let's give
yeah,
this a fair shot. Let's
that's the support system.
yeah, like, let's have some real justice here instead. You know, they just want to hear what the officers have to say, and guys aren't going to win against that. And these guys, and I pray, you prayed the other night when we were praying for anyone going up against in parole hearing, and um we got to pray for the parole board, their heart, for God to move in their heart in that room, for, to give the men that do speak the wisdom that God speaks through them, and because it's a lot, these parole boards definitely, they'll be like 5 years or longer. They want you to never have had a mess up, and dude, as humans, none of us even have that, but that is something that we will continue to do is just praying for
Okay.
these people, you know? So that was that. Aragon signing off.